Welcome to the deep dive. We're jumping straight in today.
Yep, ready to go.
Our mission, as always, is to take that stack of sources you provided and, really cut straight to the important stuff.
Find those aha moments.
Exactly. Get you the key insights fast with just enough context.
And today's sources, well, they paint an interesting picture. Mostly crypto and finance, right?
Mostly, yeah. But there's a little twist towards the end, something from a different field entirely.
Right. So we've got market updates, some specific company moves.
Even individual trades detailed in here, and that AI development you mentioned.
So our job is to pull out the essential bits, what really matters from this mix.
What should you be paying attention to? Let's unpack it.
Okay.
Starting with setting the stage, some specific market news highlighted in these sources. There's one article titled, Eric Trump's Announcement Aligns Trump Coin with WLFI.
Right. So this first piece you shared, it just notes this announcement happened and suggests a connection is being made.
Between Trump Coin and WLFI. The source calls it an alignment.
Exactly. It's just reporting that viewpoint.
Okay, but then almost immediately, another source you included zooms right in on some very concrete trading activity involving that same asset.
Yeah, the Ogle trade.
Tell us about that.
So the report says this person, Ogle, is making a pretty big bet against Trump. We're talking $1 million.
$1 million short.
Yeah, and get this, on a platform called Hyperliquid, using 10x leverage.
Wow, okay, so that's amplifying the risk significantly.
Hugely, both potential gains and losses. The source even gives a specific price point, $12.49. That's the estimated liquidation price. If the price hits that, the position likely gets wiped out automatically, a big loss.
And where's the price now, according to the source?
It says it's hovering near where Ogle entered the trade. So kind of on a knife's edge right now.
So let me get this straight. One source reports an alignment. Sounds positive.
Right.
And the next details a massive leverage bet against the same thing.
Exactly. It's quite the juxtaposition, isn't it?
It really is. What does that suggest?
Well, it could mean a few things, maybe skepticism about that alignment news actually sticking.
Or just a bet on volatility.
Yeah, or maybe Ogle just thinks it was overvalued regardless. It's a really clear example of how some traders react to news, sometimes in ways you wouldn't expect.
Definitely shows a specific market play and response. Okay, moving on. Your sources also cover some other significant moves in the crypto and finance world.
Like the ARCA news regarding Circle.
Right. What happened there?
The report says ARCA, the investment firm, has sold all of its shares in Circle, a complete divestment.
All of them. Why?
Well, the source points to comments from ARCA's CIO, Jeff Dorman. He apparently criticized Circle's IPO allocation process.
So it's about the process of going public,
Yeah.
not necessarily about Circle's core business or USDC itself.
Seems that way based on this report. It was about how the IPO shares were being allocated, the mechanics of it.
Interesting. And does the source mention potential impacts?
It does. It suggests this move could have implications, maybe for USDC or just how the market reacts generally.
So it shows how even established crypto players trying to enter traditional finance face scrutiny on those traditional processes.
Exactly. Fairness, transparency, and things like IPOs. It matters to big investors, clearly.
Okay. Then there's Coinbase news, an update from the CEO, Brian Armstrong.
Yes, focusing on account freezing issues. This has been a real, pain point for users.
Oh, I've heard about that. What's the update?
Pretty significant progress, actually. The source highlights an 82% reduction in these freezing incidents.
82%. That's huge.
It really is. And the report adds that Armstrong promised they're still working on it, aiming for more transparency, too.
That's crucial for a platform like Coinbase. Access to funds, trust, that's everything.
Absolutely. It shows them tackling a major operational headache head-on, concrete improvement.
Good to see. Okay, what else? There's another interesting corporate story involving digital assets. Greg Kidd and No Labs.
Yeah, this one's fascinating. So Greg Kidd is apparently set to become CEO and chairman of No Labs. But how he's doing it is the interesting part. He's acquiring a controlling stake using Bitcoin and cash.
Wait, using Bitcoin to buy control of a company?
That's what the source says. Not just holding it, but using it in a major corporate transaction.
That feels like a significant step for Bitcoin adoption.
I think so, too. And it doesn't stop there. The source also says No Labs plans to adopt a Bitcoin treasury strategy.
Meaning they'll hold Bitcoin on their balance sheet.
A lot of it, apparently. The article states Bitcoin is planned to make up 82% of its Bitcoin. Yeah, that's actually where the source you provided cuts off. Mid-word.
Okay. But The intention is clear up to that point.
Absolutely. Using Bitcoin for the acquisition, aiming for a treasury that's 82% Bitcoin, that's a massive commitment. A really strong signal about their belief in Bitcoin's future.
Definitely integrating it deeply into their strategy. Okay, so we've seen specific trades, divestments, platform improvements, corporate Bitcoin use. Let's zoom out a bit. Any broader market indicators in your sources?
Yes, there's an article titled "Whales Go All In on BTC Calls."
Whales, meaning big crypto holders.
Usually, yes. And BTC calls are options bets that Bitcoin's price will go up.
So big players are betting on a price increase.
That's the implication. The source connects this activity to a generally optimistic mood in global markets last Friday.
And does it say why there was optimism?
It ties it partly to economic data, specifically the U.S. jobs report for May.
Okay. What did the report show?
According to this source, 139,000 jobs were added.
And was that good, bad?
The source frames it as beating expectations, which were apparently around 125,000. It also notes the unemployment rate held steady at 4.2%.
So classic macro data still playing a role in sentiment, even alongside all this crypto-specific news.
Right. It shows how these broader economic signals provide the backdrop, the overall context for everything else happening in the markets described in your sources.
Gives that wider lens.
Exactly. Helps understand the general feeling.
Okay. Now, for that twist we mentioned earlier, the sources weren't entirely finance-focused. There's a piece on Google in here.
Correct. A bit of an outlier compared to the rest, but definitely significant news from the tech world. It's about AI.
What did Google announce?
They revealed a preview of an enhanced AI model, Gemini 2.5 Pro.
Okay, an upgrade.
Yep. And the report mentions Google is calling it their most intelligent model yet. It's described as an improvement over the previous Gemini 2.5 Pro.
Let me guess.
And that's where that source cuts off to.
Okay. But the core news is clear. Google's pushing forward with its AI tech.
Right. A major player making a big announcement about advancing its AI capabilities. While it's not directly finance, advancements like these, they ripple out.
How so?
Well, think about financial analysis tools, trading algorithms, automation. Powerful AI impacts all sorts of sectors eventually. Its inclusion here just shows another area of really rapid, important development happening right now.
So it adds another dimension to the snapshot of what's happening now that these sources provide.
Exactly, a broader perspective.
All right. That was quite a tour through the information you shared. A lot covered quickly.
Yeah, we went from that specific leveraged Trump-y short
to ARCA ditching circle shares over IPO process issues.
Coinbase slashing account freezes.
No labs using Bitcoin for corporate control and planning a massive BTC treasury.
All against a backdrop of market optimism linked to job numbers.
And then, boom, a major AI announcement from Google.
It's quite a mix.
And pulling these different threads together, I think that's the real value, right? Seeing how fast things are changing across these different critical areas.
And maybe seeing they aren't quite as separate as they sometimes seem. You get the micro details, like a specific trade.
And the macro context, like economic data, plus these big strategic shifts in companies and technology.
It cuts through the noise by showing these key developments side by side.
So here's a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on after this dive. We've seen rapid change described across finance, specific assets, corporate strategy, macroeconomics, and cutting-edge AI.
All in one batch of recent news.
So what's the most interesting connection or maybe even collision point between these different areas that you think is worth watching next?
Yeah, like how will better AI change trading, as we touched on? Or how does corporate Bitcoin adoption start influencing broader economic indicators?
What does putting this specific mix of news together, the crypto plays, the AI advance, the corporate finance shifts, suggest about the landscape that's unfolding? Where are the next big interactions likely to happen?
It's definitely a dynamic picture, lots of moving parts.
Something to think about. That's all for this deep dive.